Please welcome to the stage to pay your tribute to Charlotte Gerson, Richard, and thank you for all that you do.
That was quite a delightful introduction. Thank you very much. Richard Boger. I had the honor and privilege to know Charlotte Gerson for 35 years as my friend, as my mentor, as my teacher, and as my hero. I was a very sickly child from Ohio, destined for heart disease, diabetes, obesity. That was the destiny. And I happened to pick up a Dr. Walker's book when I was 18. And it rang true to me, and I became an organic vegetarian on the spot, dreaming of owning a Norwalk juicer. Little did I know that 9 years later, after visiting my grandmother in California and finding California to be the place I wanted to be, that I would be representing Norwalk juicers. And in 1984, I had the distinct honor and almost embarrassing situation to meet Charlotte Gerson at a Cancer Control Society convention. I knew of her, I had heard her lectures, I'd been working with Norwalk for a little while, patients, and all of a sudden, there before me at the Cancer Control Society was Charlotte Gerson dressed in a pure white pantsuit. And she was so excited. "Who are you? And what are you doing here?" And I said, "Charlotte, I'm representing Norwalk." "Oh, so delightful. Charlotte, would you like some carrot juice?" "Oh, yes, thank you. I need all these people here and the food, and I'm lecturing in 5 minutes. Can you make it for me that quickly?" "Sure." So I made her a big glass of carrot juice, and I'm nervous and shaking. Nobody's ever heard this story before. I hand her this big glass of carrot juice, and somehow the paper cup was faulty, and it dripped all down her white pantsuit. That's it. She's never going to want to see me again, talk to me again. She's going to hate me. I was so embarrassed. "Oh, not to worry, Richard." She disappears. She comes out 3 minutes later, completely white. I don't know how you can get carrot juice out of white clothes. But she did, and she wasn't begrudging, she wasn't angry. And so from that Cancer Control Society forward for 25 years, I had the honor of serving Charlotte carrot juice and listening to her lectures. Mobs of people would come up to her afterwards. She never, ever hesitated on helping someone, on explaining something to someone. And then you'd see the doctor, the very stern, this can't be true, this can't be right, challenging her, and gracefully and very skillfully, she would turn that person around because she was more knowledgeable of nutrition and the human body than any doctor that was there, any skeptic was there. She had a quality about her of caring and loving that, she gave out her home phone number. I'd be sitting with her at her home and people would call, "What do I do about this?" And she would always patiently answer, unless you were stubborn and didn't want to do the fresh juices or the enemas, and then the warrior woman would come out. But sitting here thinking about one of the most amazing things about her that I remember, it's small, is how she would do this little thing with her hands. She'd say, "Oh, Richard, all you have to do is drink the juices, take the enemas, eat the right food, take the salt and no fat, piece of cake, cancer's gone," just like that. And I'd see her do that over and over again. I had the honor of accompanying her, and I didn't remember, Howard asked me to speak. He said I could only have 5 minutes. I go, "That part's going to be really hard, Howard, but I'll try." But she invited me to come to the clinic with her on a weekly basis. Initially, I lived in Malibu. I'd drive to Bonita, jump in her car, she'd drive across the border. So every week, for years, I had the honor of being in the car. We would laugh and we would talk, and I was so young and naive and enthusiastic and worried about it. "Oh, Richard, you don't have to worry about all these idiots. You just have to live longer than they do. They'll all die." So I took that on. I'll be 62 in March. I don't take any pharmaceutical drugs. I have no medical conditions, and I attribute it to the Gerson diet, to the juices, and to Charlotte and Max Gerson. My wife, my lovely wife, Summer, and I, no kidding, after each time we take a coffee enema, we usually say, thank you, Max, thank you, Charlotte, and thank you, God, because we feel like an entirely different human being. It's one of the strangest things I've never understood, why people are opposed or worried about coffee enemas. I think they'd rather keep that stuff inside than get it out. I don't understand that at all. But anyway, so many stories I could tell you. The bottom line is, she loved people. She loved helping people. And the most excited I would ever see her, the most enthusiastic I would ever see her, is when she was talking about her son, Howard. It would bring such joy to her, his visits, his phone calls, and it was so nice to see her that way. Another thing I remember, it was hard to do anything for Charlotte. She did not expect anyone to do anything for her. And I guess I'm a little touchy subject, but I think it's important to say, Charlotte had a fall, and she recovered from that fall. Most people in that age don't, and she recovered quite nicely through the therapy and through Howard's encouragement. And it was only due to a second fall later in her life that required her to go to the hospital. And that was probably Howard's, his biggest pain. The most hard thing for him to see is his loving, powerful, wonderful mother who'd helped so many people, including himself and me, be in that situation. And we can't be begrudging, we can't be angry, but I am certain Charlotte, she is still with us now, but she would still be with us now if it hadn't have been what happened to her in the course of being hospitalized. And it broke Howard's heart. It really did. But I think it brought us closer together. One of the many benefits and blessings from Charlotte was Howard. I think we're closer friends, if I may be so bold, than ever. Charlotte and Howard attended my wife's and my wedding 19 years ago. That's how close they are to my family. Charlotte was at my wife's birth, whatever it is, before you have a birth, and shortly after, and always involved in our children all through their lives, very thoughtful gifts. Oh, another thing, we found out after several months of driving to Mexico and back, we were both born on March 27th. Now, what's the odds of that? So this picture is one of my most dear pictures. I can't remember if she's 89 or 90 or 87, but she was always so happy and so excited. And if we couldn't be together on our birthdays, we would always call each other on our birthdays. And it's one of the things that I will treasure for the rest of my life. When Charlotte was hospitalized, my wife is a holistic health practitioner. And she came with me and offered, Charlotte's feet had swollen up a little bit. Oh, no, I don't need anything. It's okay, I'm fine. Charlotte, let Summer work on your feet. So she started working on her feet, and Charlotte's eyes rolled back in her head. And then each time I would come to visit, is your lovely wife Summer going to come along? Absolutely, Charlotte. And it was always Summer's honor to give back a little bit to Charlotte. But as I was sitting here, and listening to everybody's testimony and story, and Charlotte invited me to go from room to room. When we went to the hospital, she would take me on her rounds, and in every situation, she was so compassionate, so loving, so wonderful. And the patients just assumed I was a doctor, and she never corrected them. And I thought about this, and I said, Charlotte, why don't you tell them, I'm just a juicer guy. I'm not a doctor. And she said, Richard, you know more about the Gerson therapy and how the body heals naturally than any medical doctor. Okay. So what I got sitting here is Charlotte doesn't want us to mourn. There's no loss because she is so grand. And all of us here and everyone she's touched, the message I got from her is, it's fine to remember me, Richard, but you need to become me. You all need to become me. And I realized I used to have a little Charlotte Gerson in my head. Well, I forgot, maybe with kids and family and all this stuff, I forgot. Now I have Charlotte Gerson in my head again. And that's a wonderful thing because we can share what we know with others. And it breaks my heart that the plant-based diet, the organic food and juices that everyone now is so enamored with and everybody is their claim to fame, came from Max Gerson and Charlotte Gerson. She's the most humble, loving, giving, wonderful person, the most influential person in my life. And when Norwalk Juicers and Gerson came together, my life's work became very obvious, and it's been a true honor. Thank you very much.